Welcome to the Desert Wasteland. Here you'll find nothing but sand, rock, dead trees, and I wonder where the tower is over there. Me and my friend Austin are gonna have to try and survive 100 days in this world. We'll uncover its secrets, find its hidden oasis, and worst of all, have to try and get along. This is not going to be an easy feat. Hey you, thank you so much for watching and liking the videos and of course subscribing to the channel. A while back I used to do YouTube comment shoutout of the day and you guys wanted me to bring it back, so today's YouTube comment shoutout of the day goes to Bargain Bin Brody, who's apparently been watching since the OG trios. Thank you so much for watching the video, Brody, and I hope everybody enjoys the video. Swimming onto shore on day one, there really was just nothing. Sand, but other than that, nothing. I don't like sand. Austin got to work cutting down the only tree in the nearby vicinity, and I headed uphill to see if I could find anything. At first, there was nothing, but then I did find an abandoned homestead. It had the basics, you know, some basic food and some basic tools. The beds were going to be useful to get early on. We also found ourselves a book by a man named Samson. Apparently, Samson tried to survive on this island and 2014. 2014. That's 6 years ago. That's not even correct. That's 8 years ago. Oh, the sun's already getting to my head. Samson is still around, and on this island, we do need to find him because maybe he can help us get off the island. For now, at least we can take refuge inside of the homestead, protect ourselves from the night. Really don't want to fight the mobs early on. I decided on day 2 I was going to head around and have a quick look around the perimeter of the homestead. My worst fears were very quickly imagined. There is just nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just sand. There's a couple of dead trees, just nothing. I knew I couldn't stay in the sun, and so I decided to take refuge in this little cave here. I actually did find plenty of iron and coal down here. It's not easy to deal with the mobs without any tools, gear, shield, you know, the usual, but I was able to manage. After heading back, I gave Austin some crops to farm, and I started cooking up the iron. I ended up on day 3. I was ready to schmooze. I quickly reread the book that Samson left for us, and he mentioned about heading southwest from our current location. So after yoinking some cooked taters from Austin, I decided to head out. I really want to reiterate this. There is nothing but sand. I don't know how big this area is, whether this is an island or not, but there is just nothing but sand. That is until I found it. This was an oasis. A huge change compared to the sandy shores that we found. It was full of life, green, trees, water, everything you'd want, everything you'd need to survive on this island. I instantly realized that staying at the homestead was a really bad idea, and so I knew I had to get back and head to Austin. We packed up everything on day 4. We put on our walking boots and we headed out. Going from the sandy beaches to this beautiful oasis is such a change to everything, but Austin was so happy to be here. Honestly, I feel lucky that we found anything whatsoever. Even better, Austin noticed that there was a center island, and on that center island there was a little hut. It had a second diary in it from your boy Samson, and giving you guys a quick rundown of what that book said. Simply put, every single year Samson would return to the island to help anybody escape the island, which means 2 things. 1, Samson was able to escape the island, which is a really good start for us. The question is, how long is a year from now from our current location? Well, luckily, as a perfect mathematician, I was able to work out that it was only 96 days away. So you're telling me that Samson is going to show up on day 100? Isn't that incredibly convenient for the video title? I spent the day by really enjoying the views of the island. I mean, Austin did ruin the shot, but we'll ignore that. Heading back into the caves on day 5, we both knew we had to get full iron and some Doug Dan Dimmer Dones. That was the biggest priority here. Iron wasn't really an issue, and surprisingly, neither was diamonds. Found a couple, okay a few, okay a lot, just casual 19 veins of diamonds. Nothing could go wrong at this point. Then started clearing out my inventory where, oh god. After returning back on day 6 and looking around the oasis more, there was nothing really of note, except I did run into a couple of sheep. Austin only wanted to keep the white sheep for the wool. I decided to be a bit annoying. After that, I killed an enderman and I got an ender pearl, which was quite useful. And then I went back to, being a nuisance. At this point on day 7, we had a carrot and a tater farm set up. And since the sheep needed wheat, we decided to set up a wheat farm. I know, shocking. It was easy enough. Even had some leftover bone blocks from something. I don't know where we got these from. And after moving around the island, I really got quickly fed up of swimming around, and so I decided that I was going to set up some bridges. I spent most of the day chopping down the jungle trees on the rim of the oasis and started making the flooring to the bridges. I was going to set up the railings and make the bridges look nice, but Austin wouldn't let me do that on day 8, so I'm going to work on making the bridge flooring, and Austin will work on the railings and making them look nice. And by day 10, that's right, day 10, I had completed the 4th bridge. Austin was still setting up the railings on other bridges, and as soon as he finished the fourth one, we can get schmoving. Whilst I was waiting for him to do that, I did a little bit of farming. I still struggle to tell when potatoes are fully grown, but we have a lot of potatoes at this point, who cares? Austin was able to finish the bridges, and now we no longer have to get wet. Minecraft wet. Minecraft wet. I decided to explore the desert a little bit more on day 11. Firstly, by running across our fancy new bridge. Ooh, look at this fancy bridge. Shockingly enough, there's really not a lot here, except this wandering trader. I'd like to personally thank him for his lead donation and his leather donation, I guess. And then there was a second smaller oasis that had a lot less loot to loot. Yeah, wandering pillagers lost in the desert, you say? I mean, if anything, it's a mercy to take them out. I'm the good guy here. After that, we ran around and found absolutely nothing. This desert is massive, and with so little here, our survival rates are looking bleaker and bleaker by the day. We headed back on day 13. The plan was to map out the area of the island. You never know what we'd be able to find if we had a full mapped out area. It will take a lot of running, but I'm not too concerned because we have all the time in the world. We will need to make some maps though, which of course requires compasses that, whoa, what the? So it turns out my server has a plugin that lets me teleport if I right click on a compass. I swear I'm not cheating. I don't even know what this plugin is. After making the map, we were still a little bit of paper short, and so I decided to grab some remaining sugarcane from the outrim of the oasis. After setting up more sugarcane on day 14, I decided to set up a little bit of a build. The idea of just having the maps on some random walls seemed a bit silly to me, and so I decided to make up the map room. Instead of helping, Austin decided to just go caving instead. As long as he brings back some diamonds, then I don't really mind. I'm not gonna lie, this build is pretty basic. Whether you're looking at the flooring, whether you're looking at the walls, I mean, some glass would be nice. Let me just quickly go and get some sand, cook that glass up, and then we can put the frames in. I mean, that's as far as I got by day 14's end. And then I began working on the roof on day 15. This is honestly the worst part of a bad experience when it comes to building for me. I can't build. We all know this. We don't have to shy away from it, but roofs are just something I really suck at. Here's the finished product. I know it looks terrible. And then I finished the day by reaping my sugarcane rewards. Day 16, 17, and 18 was honestly a lot of running around. Basically, we was just filling in the maps. Austin luckily returned at this point. No diamonds, may I add. And he was able to take half the map, whilst I was going to take the other side of the map. Honestly, not a lot happened until day 19, where I found something. It looked like a tower in the sand, and this was the first thing I'd seen in forever, and so I went to go investigate it. I entered the tower into the absolute pitch darkness and found, honestly, don't really know what. There was so much here, and it honestly looked like there was so much mobs. I knew that I had to escape after quickly grabbing this banner, of course. It's definitely something to come back for later, but for now, it's worth marking the coordinates and moving on. Skipping a couple of days, by day 23, I had completed what I believed was all the maps on the bottom of the map. Austin still had a little bit of work to do, and so I went AFK. Not gonna lie, I was eating a muffin. It's a good muffin. We was trying to figure out the best way for us to get some leather, because we wanted to get a level 13 shanty set up. Now, we can't just get cows because, you know, desert, and so we decided the best way to go about it was to go to the nether and trade for them or kill hoglins. But in both scenarios, that requires diamonds, and, well, I mean, we have those 19 from, oh, right, never mind. Well, back to the caves we go. We spent the next couple of days in the caves. I found myself 8 diamonds in total, and then started searching for some obsidian, because lava pools was something that weren't easy to find in the caves. In the process, I even found myself 2 more diamonds, and after getting 18 obsidian, I headed back up to the surface. Whilst heading back on day 27, I actually found myself some pigs on, again, the outrim of the oasis. Bringing them back over the water would have taken so long, but luckily some genius had the idea to make bridges, and so the pigs were easily led over. We even put them next to the sheep friends. Isn't that adorable? We did the basic enchantments for the time being, just enough to give us an extra layer of protection, and then I set up the nether portal with corners, may I add. We're getting fancy in this oasis. And then we entered the nether. There was a couple of piglings right outside the portal, and so we got beginning to trade our 30 gold. We only got 4 leather in total, which is honestly not that great. Honestly, I prefer just getting the spectral owls we got, but with the gold traded, it's time for us to head out a little bit more. 29 and 30 as well, we actually, whilst traveling looking for a crimson forest of all things, I decided to grind a little bit of quartz because I just wanted to get 30 levels. Once I did get a little bit distracted by the nether. I mean, there's something so special about playing Minecraft with shaders, and and it's weirdly the darkness that it adds. I mean, just look at that. So beautiful. Anyway, we found ourselves a crimson biome by day 31, and we knew we was about to slaughter a bunch of hoglins. I mean, if they didn't slaughter themselves, this was the first hoglin I had, just decided to take a swim in the lava. It was a slow process. Honestly, hoglins don't spawn as much as you'd think they would, but by day 34, I had got myself 30 plus leather. Austin also got himself over 30 leather, so we had basically a stack of leather. Good stuff. And then I accidentally hit an enderman, which was really cool. And then over then there's lava fall, which again, getting distracted by the shaders. Honestly, that was the end of the Crimson adventure. On 35, I was cooking the pork that I got from the hoglins. We did actually find ourselves a bastion. Now, Austin didn't really want to go into it, but pig step, so I win. I mean, if we can get into it, that is, we instantly had to run away from the brutes. There was some basic stuff in here. Honestly, the only cool thing was a lodestone. The rest of it was just, well, super basic, and so we pretty much left the same day we got there. There was only a couple of chests at most anyway. We then spent the next couple of days searching for the fortress, and we found it on day 38. Austin found a blaze spawner instantly, and so he was going to start grinding some blazes, and I was going to head into the fortress to find ourselves some chests and some nether wart. Honestly, something we was interested in was saddles, because when I found the pigs, there was also a couple of horses there as well. I got some nether wart, got some diamonds, obviously got the saddles, and I do want to make another quick mention of how scary nether fortresses are when you've got shader packs on. I mean, I can barely see in front of me, so if a wither skeleton or another mob just came at me, I wouldn't be able to see them until it was potentially too late. Once I was confident that I had fully searched the fortress, I started helping Austin with the rods. I don't know when this happened, but by the time we was done on day 39, we got a total of 15 blaze rods together and then instantly left.
Home stretch. Oh, don't fall in the lava. Daniel, don't fall in the lava.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? What was the plan there, Chief? What was the plan? Why would you do that?
Dan, you did exactly what I told you not to do.
You punched me into the lava!
What I told you not to do, Daniel.
Punched me. And there we go. By day 40, we had returned to the portal. We had a little bit of spare time on day 41, and so I decided to grab the maps and set up the map room. It did take me a second to figure out what goes where. Like, seriously, these maps look exactly the same. That would be because they're two of the same maps, and I'm a dum-dum. And then on day 42, after figuring out that I made a double map, this isn't embarrassing that I have to admit this. Me figuring out exactly where each of these maps go took way too long. Like, seriously, I was swapping maps out all over the gaff. Austin was no help. Like, Austin was gonna go get the remainder of the maps that we was missing on the top layer, and so I decided that I wanted to leave a marker on the map. I didn't know you could do this, but if you name a banner and right click it with a map, it will leave a marker on the map. And so I returned back to the interesting tower that I found much earlier, and I got a brown banner thanks to the sheep and just named it tower. After right click on it, it just leaves a little banner like this. I think this is really cool, and I cannot believe I've been playing Minecraft for over 10 years and I didn't know this. That's crazy. When we both returned on day 45, we decided to make a decision to go caving again, and so I made a brand new diamond pickaxe for a level 30 enchanter. I also grinded some potatoes for food, and when I did the level 30 pickaxe, I got efficiency 4 and fortune 2, which honestly I'll take that any day of the week. I also got flame, power 3, and punch on a bow, which I honestly just wanted infinity, but I mean, this will do for the time being. The next 3 days we was caving, and so we spent a lot of time in the caves. Thanks to the fortune 2, I was easily able to get a lot of iron, redstone, gold. Honestly, fortune working for these ore is crazy. We also got plenty of diamonds. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I only got 8 or 9. Austin got the rest, but I was still contributing a little bit. It's worth mentioning that Austin did get fortune 3 on his level 30 enchant, so yeah, pretty good haul overall by the time we got back, which of course was day 50, or should I say night 50. On day 51, I did a couple more enchants. I got a looting 2 sharpness 3 sword, which was another win for me, an unbreaking 3 pickaxe. I also did some very terrible level 30 enchants on these new diamond armor that I just obtained, and then thanks to an anvil, I combined the pickaxes together. Getting efficiency 4, unbreaking 3, and fortune 2 is honestly a really good diamond pickaxe to have. After that, Austin set up an automatic cooker for all the ores we had, and I made some coal blocks just to fill the furnace more. I mean, honestly, I don't know why he set up a hopper there to make it automatic there, but yeah, cooker is now schmoving. So, little bit of a tidbit for you. For one reason or another, whenever we finish a recording session on the server, Austin likes to put his stuff in a chest and log out for whatever reason, and he left this efficiency 4 unbreaking 3 fortune 3 diamond pickaxe in his chest, whilst my efficiency 4 unbreaking 3 fortune 2 pickaxes is right here. Do you think he'll notice if I just, you know, yoink? After that, I stood around for a couple of minutes because we were trying to figure out exactly what to do. Remember that a little while back we found the pigs, and with the pigs were the horses, and so I quickly ran over and got some horses. Not the quickest horse in the world, but our friend Copernicus, that's right, I'm calling the horse Copernicus, will be our friend until the end, at least I'm hoping. We set up a really basic horse pen on day 53, and then we made a decision. The best way for us to get arrows would actually be to trade the arrows. With most fletching villager traders, they are willing to trade 1 emerald for 16 arrows. And since there's legitimately no way for us to get feathers because chickens just don't exist in this world, we decided that this was the best way to go about it. Of course, in the wasteland, there is obviously no villages, and so the only way for us to do that is to cure a zombie villager. I spent most of the night fighting pretty much every zombie under the moon, however, none of them were zombie villagers.
Daniel, why did you give me your shitty pickaxe?
Oh, no, damn it.
Why did you switch your terrible pickaxe with mine? Give me back my fortune 3. I got fortune 3.
I'm so annoyed that took you so little time to notice.
You are such an obnoxious person.
I returned Austin his pickaxe and wait, hang on a second. Oh, okay, there you go, got it back. And wait until the night again, we found ourselves a zombie villager. It was a little bit of a trek back because of how slow these guys work, but the moment we got him into the pen, Austin's Minecraft crashed. Isn't that fun? Oh, he also had all of the weakness potions, and so I'm gonna have to wait for him to come back. Moments later, when he returned, we cured ourselves a zombie villager. Well, he will be cured when the time goes. You get the point. I spent the rest of the night killing even more zombies, but no more zombie villagers showed up. Once the night turned to day 55, we realized, it's thundering. Probably should better sleep the thunder away. And here we are on day 56, where the zombie villager had now cured. Austin got to work setting up a bit of a villager house, whilst I grabbed some wood. Austin was gonna build, and I was gonna get him the supplies. So after getting wood, I decided to get him a little bit of glass. Then I got some beds. They all had to be poop-stained beds because of the brown sheep, but honestly, you really do get the best kind of hospitality at the Havenhand Kerp Inn. The night was more, well, zombie villager hunting, but again, sadly, no more zombie villagers showed up during this night. On day 57, we got to trading. I made a fletching table. I was getting some wood, and I started trading every single stick I possibly could until he stopped letting me. All these sticks I have, and not a single trade in sight. Did a couple more trades just to get his level maxed out best I could. Basically, I was able to trade for 2 power 2 bows, and once I combined them with my current bow, I now had a power 4 bow rather than a power 3 bow. And then at night, well, I mean, you know, I didn't actually get myself a zombie villager, but Austin did. We did the same process of bringing him back and starting the curing process, and it was now just playing the waiting game. I set up a nice little viewing chamber for the curing process on day 58. Austin decided to join me. It was a good view, and hey, he cured. Got ourselves plenty of arrows, and now I don't have to worry about getting infinity. Anyway, time to head into the caves. We got into the caves on day 59. There was a lot of coal, there was a lot of creepers, and there was also falling into a hole, the same hole twice. Really don't want to talk about that one. And then I got ambushed by gravel. That's a sentence I never thought I was ever going to say. The next 3 days was spent down in the cave. Pretty much it was just trying to get as many diamonds as possible. Austin got 35. I got 3. So, you know, that being said, by the end of this all, I actually found another vein of diamond, and thanks to the fortune 2, I walked away with 17 diamonds. Hell yeah. Once we returned home on day 64, Austin was already there, and then we pretty much just cooked up the iron, coal, gold that we already had. But with the diamond armor we could get, we really need some good enchants on them, and so we both headed into the nether. Getting there on day 65, we got to work grinding a bunch of warts. It was a long process. This also took a couple of days, but by day 67, I think I've got myself enough levels. I don't know about you. It was on day 68 when I finished getting 38 levels. I did get jumped by some piglings and totally didn't nearly die. Usual Havenhand things, really. And once I got those 38 levels, I headed back home. And when I returned to the portal, I made another oopsie daisy. Find out myself. Let me get rid of this. Oh my god.
What'd you do?
No!
What did you do? What did you do?
You know, you can press the button to flip like your hand. I changed that, and I pressed Q instead, and I just threw my sword into lava. Oh my god, are you serious? On day 69, I enchanted a brand new sword. The diamond armor pieces I got had protection 3 on them, and Austin got an infinity trade, which means all the arrows that I traded for, yeah, completely useless. The problem we had though was we still didn't have an access to an easy leather source, until I noticed the 2 llamas trapped in the pen with the wandering trader. Well, you know, I know how this was gonna end, you know how this was gonna end, my editor Gray knew how this was gonna end. Basically 2 dead llamas later, and we now have 2 leather pieces. 1 infinity book trade later, and now I had infinity on my bow. Still really sad I wasted all those emeralds getting arrows. On day 70, I was thinking about Samson, you know, the guy who's been leaving us the books, and the last book he said was that he was gonna show up on the southern shore every year. We still had 30 days to go, but we didn't know exactly where he was gonna show up on the southern shore, and so me and Austin got on our horses and headed towards it. Now, Copernicus, my horse, is much faster than Austin's horse, and so this process probably should have only taken 2 or 3 minutes, but took extra time because Austin's horse is terrible. We did find ourselves a little bit of a hut, and going in there, I found myself another book, yet again by our friend Samson. It had notes from 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, but then it stops, and that was 3 years ago, so I don't really know what to make of that. The last thing that he mentioned is talking about a library, and unfortunately, we don't really know where that is, and so we're gonna have to head back and try and figure this out once Austin's horse decides to pick up the pace. We was back in the map room by day 71. The only thing that we thought worth note was the actual tower that I found in the sand much earlier. There was legitimately nothing else that could resemble a library that would have easy access to. However, we did need a little bit more gear before we headed in there, and so we started working. I was working on getting a bit of food, and I was breeding a couple of animals, whilst Austin went on oak sapling hunting. Simply put, we want apples, we need oak trees to do that, and so he went off into the world. I returned to the Nether on day 72. The idea was to head to a soul sand valley to get some bone blocks to be able to grind as much food as I possibly could before we set out. Whilst heading to the only known location of a soul sand valley, which admittedly was quite a bit away, I actually got the advancement hot tourist destination. So, you know, I've been schmooving in this Nether. I got to the soul sand valley by day 73. I definitely should have just waited until the night and killed skeletons that way, because this was a pain. I do love the shaders pack that I'm using, but I, for the love of God, cannot see in front of me because it's just that dark. Anyway, by the time I got back on day 74, I actually used the bone meal that I had, not for food, but instead to grow the trees that Austin got the saplings from. The idea was simply, if I can help get a bunch of apples, well, golden apples are going to be definitely a good defensive unit once we enter the tower, whatever it may be. Once we was done grinding apples by day 75, we had got 17 golden apples, split 50-50 with Austin, and the remainder of the gold I just decided to turn into some golden carrots. It's time for us to head to the tower once Austin horse catches up. I mean, we got there that night, and there we were, entering it on day 76. We very quickly learned that this was the library. I know it was dark, but there's no other excuses for having a lot of books in one location. There was also some chests with some nice loot, and getting a good look at what the library was, I actually got shot by a skeleton. However, as a pro Minecraft player, I was able to MLG water bucket, saving myself. There was a lot of mobs down here though, so I decided to book it for the hills. Luckily, there was a couple of staircases that got me back up to Austin, and then we took a breather considering how dangerous this place is. There's a lot of mobs in here. Cool boys, there are a lot. Further proving it, on day 77, the mob intensity picked up quite quickly. We was fighting mob after mob in the darkness, but we was holding on quite well. Luckily, we had each other's back the entire time while we're down here. We was also looting a bunch of chests where I found another book. There was a man who was trapped down here. Now, was this Samson? We don't know. We just know that someone is trapped down here and we have to help. Working our way through the library, we made ourselves to the bottom layer where there was so many mobs. The fight continued another day, clearing out most of the bottom layer, and then we took another breather. Luckily, now that we cleared out most of the mobs, we can actually search around the bottom layer and hope for the best. We really did destroy this place. There was a lot of fire and explosions, but it'll be worth it. I'm hoping, at least. It took us a while to find our way forward, but in the end, we did. On day 79, we found a new area for us to search. It had some more mobs in it and a darkened room, but after clearing out the room, we found it, a cage. And in that cage, there was a person. And for the first time in the entire time we've been here, we've met somebody new. And this wasn't just somebody new. This was Samson. For being trapped in the cage for over 2 years, the guy had kind of lost his mind a little bit. He wouldn't let go of his bones. He kept talking in riddles. He was all over the place, but most importantly, he was scared. I did my best to talk to him, to remove my armor, to hide my stuff away. I just tried to be friends with him and the best I could. After talking a short while, we discovered that he did have a boat and he could help us get off the island. But to do that, we'd have to get him out the library. He also would refuse to wear any kind of armor or tools. He's more of a sailor, not a warrior, is what he always used to say. But after a full day of negotiating, we agreed. If we helped him escape, he would consider letting us on his ship and escaping the island. And so we made our plans. On day 80, we began our escape. However, halfway up, Samson mentioned that whoever trapped him there had hidden some secret loot back at the cage area, and so we headed back. Finding a clue to where it was, we quickly found where the chest was hidden, which had a lot of good stuff. A full set of diamond armor, a trident, some ancient debris, and a lot of gold. This was honestly a great find. And now that we got that, let's get out the library as soon as possible. It was Austin's job to clear out the mobs ahead of us, while I would stay back protecting Samson the best I could. And though it took a solid minute, we was able to get to the top with little to no issue. The problem was that we didn't really make much of an escape plan. We just sort of watered down and hoped for the best. And so we had to wait for Austin to make a ladder back up to the top to get us safely. I didn't want to be in here any longer than I had to be, so this was a nervous couple of minutes. Luckily for us, we had worked pretty well as a team at this point, and so we was easily able to get out Samson with very little issues. The problem was we now had to get Samson back to the Oasis, and unfortunately we only brought 2 horses, and so I made myself a sacrifice. I let Samson take my horse and head back to the Oasis, whilst I was going to wait here for the night. It's best to travel on horseback during the night to avoid all the mobs, and sadly there was no way for me to get back otherwise. Once the day came, I made my run over to the Oasis again, and returning back to see my 2 friends yet again, it was time for us to talk. I asked Samson about his boat, but he refused to let us on it because, well, he doesn't like Austin. Nothing else to it. Austin apparently just offended him, and so we made him an offer. He wanted the most important thing in this world, the rarest thing, the dragon egg. So if we gave him the dragon egg, he would offer to give us passage on his boat. A pretty fair trade if you ask me. He also wanted Austin to make an apology to him because, well, Austin was again being rude. Alright, here we go. So I went to go talk to Oscar and ask if he'd apologize to Samson. He'd only apologize to Samson if Samson helped us to kill the Ender Dragon. So returning to Samson, I then told him that Austin would apologize if he was willing to help us with the Ender Dragon. However, Samson said he would only help us kill the Ender Dragon if he got his apology, and we also freed out the villagers from their slavement. And so going back to Austin to explain Samson's terms, Austin then agreed to free the villagers so that Samson would then agree to help us, so that Austin would apologize and then he could help us kill the Ender Dragon. After Austin cleared out the villagers, I went back to Samson. Samson agreed to help on the condition that Austin apologized, and then Austin went back, kindly apologized, and now we have everything sorted for the most part. Now we just gotta find the Ender portal. Now I did try and throw an Eye of Ender, but sadly it didn't locate the portal, and so I realized that the best way to get myself some information was to go to a giant library that would hopefully have ancient years of history. And so heading back to the library, I started searching around, hoping for the love of God that somewhere there'd be a book in here that gave us the location of the stronghold. I frantically searched around here for quite a while. I knew that Austin and Samson would try and get along during that time, so I wasn't worried about those 2 killing each other. However, on day 85, searching what was probably my 100th barrel, I found a book, and it gave us the location of the stronghold. I honestly thought I was wasting my time down here, so thank God I found it. It was time for me to return home. Returning home on day 86, it was time for us to prepare. Remember the netherite pieces that I got in the library? Well, I made a netherite helmet and a netherite sword. After that, it was just about fixing my gear. Luckily, we had so many diamonds left over, I don't have to worry about my armor being destroyed. And after that, it was simply on to some cooking taters. All 3 of us were ready and set off into the world, heading toward the coordinates of the book. Once we got there, it was a simple dig down, and we found it. The portal in a nice little tomb. Lining the portal, we knew we was ready to go. Jumping into the portal on day 88, the 3 of us knew we had to be careful. The biggest problem, honestly, was the darkness. It's really hard to see in front of you, and so I made a sacrifice of putting my shield away and putting torches into my offhand. Luckily, myself and Austin was pretty good shots. Samson was just there, and so after clearing out all of the crystals, it was a simple case of shooting down the dragon until it died. Honestly, at this point between the 3 of us, the dragon put up very little fight, and so killing the dragon the same day we had successfully gotten the dragon egg. I gave Samson his reward, the dragon egg of course, and we headed out to the boat. It was time for us to leave. Samson, being the genius that he was, placed the dragon egg, don't ask me why, and then it was to the shore. before where there was no boat, no anything. I mean, it makes sense, you know, we've been gone for 2 years, so there's no boat, which unfortunately raises just one tiny little question. That simply being, how are we meant to get off the island? We was able to speak a little bit, and clearing it up, Samson could make another boat, but it would require a lot of wood. And so we got to chopping some wood. Even on day 89, working as a team, I gave Samson my helmet so he could go under the water and place the blocks. My helmet had respiration on, which would help him breathe underwater. I did try my best to help out, but after being told multiple times I was just, and quote, getting in the way, I decided to just play with this doll thing instead. There was a lot of work of getting wood and making the boat, and so here's a little bit of an update about day 94. The boat was coming along nicely. I was even helping this time. Isn't that good? And then we got to day 100.
I mean, you know, Samson, this boat looks absolutely terrible, but considering you did it in like a week, I'm pretty impressed.
It floats. We'll take it.
Yep, that's all we really need.
I do have one question though.
Yeah, what's up?
Why don't we just use like Minecraft bows?
Oh, yeah, actually, let's just make those. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.